Good morning and welcome to our today's webinar in our Boston Server and Storage Solutions Tech Update series. Just a few words about Boston. Boston is a solution factory for server and storage systems and creates customized solutions that are tailor-made exactly for the needs of the application. Today we want to take a closer look at the memory technology of our technology partner Micron and present the latest trends and news about DRAMs. For this reason, I'm very happy, and it's a pleasure for me to introduce Esther Spanjer. She's Director Business Development EMEA of Micron Technology, and Esther will give us more insights into DRAM technologies on behalf of Micron, and of course some news and the latest market news. And of course, I want to introduce myself. My name is Andreas Schlemmer. I'm responsible at Boston for the product marketing at Boston, Germany, and the entire DACH region. So thank you very much for your registrations and for your attendance at this webinar. Before we start with Esther's presentation, I would like to point out that this tech update will be recorded and uploaded to our Boston YouTube channel. In addition, we also will send out the presentation material after the webinar to you, maybe this afternoon or latest on Monday morning, depending how we'll get all the collaterals for sending out. And if you have any questions, please use the chat function from GoToWebinar, and we will be very happy to answer them after the presentation. Good. And yeah, that's very important. I'm also very pleased today that Micron supports us with a special. We are able to include a prize draw after the webinar, so you can win twice today, once in the knowledge. On the other hand, Esther will show us how to optimize IT budgets, and if you answer our short survey after the webinar, you will qualify for the prize draw. We will have a crucial 2 terabyte portable SSD, and I think this is a very amazing prize. I would also love to get it, but I'm excluded of the prize draw, of course. And after the draw, we will inform the winner and send the prize directly to him or her. So now let's get started with the webinar, and I will hand over to Esther. So I have a short issue. My screen isn't moving.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, good. Esther, I will hand over to you right now, and thank you very much for your support for this webinar. And I'm handing over to you. Okay. It's your turn right now.
All right. Thank you so much, Andreas, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Esther Spanjer. As Andreas mentioned, I am responsible for Micron's cloud SSD and server DRAM across Europe. I have been in the semiconductor industry for my entire career, which is, oh my God, 25 years plus. And, I am for the last 2 years with Micron. And today I want to talk to you about, first of all, I thought, by the way, to show you a little bit more of a personal picture than the official business pictures we always have, just because it's so hard to meet anybody these days and create these personal relationships. So I thought if I show you a little bit of my life, maybe you will, you'll remember me when we do meet in person. So here is me in front of my house with my new dog. But what am I going to talk about today? First of all, just a short overview on Micron. I just want to give you set the tone of who we are and what we do. But then primarily, I am going to talk about, what's been happening in the DRAM market, and specifically some of the transitions from a technology perspective that we've seen and what that means for you when you are choosing a particular technology to be incorporated in your server design. And finally, I want to finish off with some ways that you can optimize the cost in your server by what we call same server, different price. As Andreas mentioned, please ask any questions. We'll make time at the end to answer them, and make sure that you walk away with as much information as possible. So first of all, some views on Micron, and the intent of Micron as a company is to make sure that all the data that we create on a daily basis, and it's a ton, 2.5 quintillion bytes of data that we create through so many different ways, through our cell phones, through gaming, through messages that we send, through really everything that nowadays is touching us somewhere. There is data created, and that data needs to be analyzed, it needs to be stored, it needs to be processed. And so that's really where Micron comes into play. We have two technologies that support that. First of all, we make DRAM, so everything that you require from memory, whether that's in a chip form factor, a DIMM module form factor, or even a multi-chip package that would go, for example, into a cell phone. Micron creates products for that. On the other side, we also create flash technology, and also there that can go into a variety of form factors and capacity points and interfaces. For the cloud data center, clearly, we're focusing on SSDs, but we are also shipping, many different products into the mobile sector, as well as automotive and industrial and embedded. But those two technologies, DRAM and flash, that is the core of our business. That is what we do. And the combination of those two makes us the fourth largest semiconductor company in the world. We have a revenue, we think in fiscal years. So last fiscal year that runs from September to September, we did over $20 billion. And this year, my assumption is that we will surpass that and probably get into the range of $24-25 billion, somewhere in that range. We are a worldwide company. We are located in 17 different countries, manufacturing sites across 13, and we are 40,000 employees worldwide. So definitely a large global company with a lot of presence all over the world. If you look at how we compare to our direct competitors, if you look at a global semiconductor space, so this is every company that makes semiconductors, we are the number 4 in the world, after clearly the giants Intel and Samsung, and then SK Hynix and Micron are very similar in size. When you look on the memory side, we are actually the third largest company in the world, after Samsung and Hynix. So definitely a force to be reckoned with, and hopefully, you will, work with us in the future for everything that you require for memory and flash. The manufacturing sites are shown up here. Primarily we manufacture in the Far East, but we also have facilities in the US where we primarily do R&D, and which our headquarters is there as well. All of our manufacturing is actually done, in Asia, in a variety of locations. Okay, so that was, just a short introduction on Micron, just to give you an idea of the company that we are and where we stand in the world. So I wanted to share with you, some of the, the things that have been happening in the news that have impacted the, the semiconductor market and the DRAM market, quite severely. And that is, kind of give you a little bit of the reasoning why we are seeing such a shortage as we're seeing in the market today. So first of all, there was an earthquake that happened in Japan 2 months ago, and this has impacted the Toshiba or Kioxia manufacturing site, and impacted the ability to produce flash. And so when you see that there is only 6 NAND manufacturers in the world, and the particular fab that we're talking about in Japan is responsible for about 30% of all flash output in the world, it is clear that if that is affected, that the overall worldwide output is affected. So that has been one of the causes why there's been a shortage on the NAND side. Now, on top of that, we've seen some pretty severe weather patterns in Texas a few months back, which caused major power outages. As a result of that, one of the factories of Samsung has been out of power for a few weeks, and that is where a lot of the controllers that are being made by Samsung are manufactured. So not only did we have a shortage on the NAND side because of the earthquake in Japan, we now also started to see a shortage overall on the SSD side because of the weather in Texas. And then overall, the world is experiencing a very, very large semiconductor shortage overall. We started to see this in, kind of come to the news through the automotive industry. There's a lot of car companies right now that are reducing their manufacturing of their cars because they literally cannot get enough chips. And we will start to see this, kind of trickling through a variety of other consumer products. In essence, everything that needs some kind of semiconductor chip will be affected throughout this year. Now, what is the reason why we're in such a shortage? It is really a combination of many things, but one of the main reasons is the pandemic and the big swings in demand that we have seen throughout this pandemic. What I'm showing you here is a graph of the semiconductor chips that are required in the automotive market. And it shows you here the demand in 2020 when compared to 2019. And you see that there is a pretty steep drop off at the beginning of the year as a result of the pandemic. But then all of a sudden, we started to swing back up again. And a challenge that we see with these kind of large swings in demand is that semiconductor companies typically cannot adjust as quickly as that, a demand swing like that. Semiconductor companies are typically fairly conservative when they're planning their, growth in their output because, setting up additional fabs are, super capital intensive. For example, setting up a new NAND fab is typically an investment between $6 and $10 billion. So it is not, an easy thing to do and not something that companies will do quickly. And so when all of a sudden the demand, shoots up, it takes time for the companies to adjust, and there's always kind of a lag or a delay between, what the market needs and what the semiconductor companies can do. And so when the swings are becoming this big, this is really where we start seeing, a lot of the challenges. So it's really been a, if you will, a perfect storm of, massive changes in demand, in some weather patterns. Also, the boat that was stuck in the Suez Canal, has really delayed, movement of goods and parts that are needed to build some of the, some of the products. So overall, in this, interconnected world, it's been a perfect storm of many things together, but that has caused us to be in the situation that we are. The expectation is that the constraint on the DRAM market will continue at least throughout 2021 and most likely into 2022. So my recommendation to you is make sure you get your demand in as early as possible, because lead times across the industry will be long, and supply is not going to be guaranteed on a short notice because of the major constraints. Okay, so I want to move on to new DRAM technology and what that means for you. So Micron has actually been very proactive, or we've been leading the industry with coming out with new technology. We announced in February our 1 alpha nanometer technology, and this is right now the most advanced DRAM technology that is available on the market. It's funny how we started to move to the Greek alphabet, but literally the previous nodes in terms of lithography, we ran out of letters. We ran out of the Roman alphabet. We called it 1X, 1Y, 1Z, and then the next generation we had to call it something else, and so we decided to switch to the Greek alphabet. We used to, in the past, call the nodes by the size of the actual lithography itself. So if you would look 10, 20 years ago, you would see, 120 nanometers, 60 nanometers, whatever it was. At some point, the industry decided to move away from this, because if you know the exact size of the lithography, then it is very easy to predict how many bits are being produced per wafer. And the DRAM market being such an elastic market when it comes to pricing, it was there's going to be a lot of speculation on what the price would do, depending on when the next node would come out and how many additional bits that would produce. So DRAM vendors decided to steer away from that and get away from that speculation, and started to call their next generation nodes just by a letter, to get away from that. And that's really the reason why today we're transitioning from the 1Z technology to the 1 alpha technology. This is today the basis for all of Micron's future technology. We are ramping up this technology very, very rapidly, and by the end of this year, we expect that pretty much all of our output will be based upon this new technology. We have quite some we had quite some coverage in the news on this, and actually, if you're interested in learning a little bit more, there was a great article at Tom's Hardware. There was a great article at All About Circuits, and there is also a blog post on our website that talks about this new technology. So when you get a copy of this presentation, feel free to use these links and actually start learning a little bit more about DRAM. I promise you they're only 2-3 minute reads, so no deep scientific things that are going to take a long time. But if you want to get a bit more knowledgeable, highly recommend the short read that it takes. Okay, so I want to move on to the market trends and the transitions that are happening in the technology. So when we provide you with our server modules, I want to make sure that it's clear that we are providing a 3-year warranty, and we go through a very, very detailed and rigorous manufacturing process and validation to make sure that you indeed receive the highest quality products that you require. So 3-year limited warranty, no matter what product from Micron you buy. Now, let's look at the market and the transitions that are happening in the market. So this particular graph shows you the capacity points, the popular capacity points that are happening, but also the underlying technology. And as you can see, we are kind of in the middle of a transition from 8 gigabit technology to 16 gigabit technology. The actual most popular module that we sell, or that the market is selling, is 32 gigabytes. But you can build a 32 gigabyte module based upon 8 gigabit chips or based upon 16 gigabit chips. Now you may wonder, why do I care? As long as the module is 32 gigabytes, I really don't care. And the answer is you should, because there is certain CPUs that do not necessarily support 16 gigabit. So it is important to understand which CPU you're using and whether that is compatible. On top of that, there is another important aspect that is related to both performance and reliability. And let me walk you through what I mean with that. So first of all, important to realize that when you go and use a module that is based upon 16 gigabit chips, not every Intel CPU will support that technology. In fact, Skylake CPUs or earlier will not support 16 gigabit based technology. If you go from Cascade Lake and beyond, it will. So important to understand what is the CPU that you're using to make sure that you have the right module for your server. Anything for AMD, they can use both 8 gigabit and 16 gigabit, so that is not a problem. It is the Intel CPUs that you need to pay a little bit more attention to. Now let's talk about what this 8 gigabit versus 16 gigabit means when you build up an RDIMM, a module, and what are the differences. So what I show you on this slide is the most popular module that we sell today, a 32 gigabyte dual rank by 4 module. And what that means is that I have on this module 36 DRAM chips. Each DRAM chip is what we call a by 4, and it is split into 2 ranks, and each rank has an extra chip that we need for ECC and an extra chip that we need for chip kill. And chip kill is something that we require from a reliability perspective. It is basically an additional error correction layer that we add on top of the regular ECC that allows us to basically rebuild data even when an entire chip is failing. So in this particular configuration, I have optimized my module both for high performance because I have a dual rank configuration, and also I have optimized my module for the highest reliability because I have the ability to do this chip kill feature, which means I have a higher reliability than if I just had an ECC. So this is today the most popular configuration that you can find on the market, 32 gigabyte RDIMM based upon 8 gigabit technology. Now, what happens when we switch to 16 gigabit technology and we build that same 32 gigabyte RDIMM? Well, two configurations can happen. What you see here on the left side is the configuration that I showed you on the previous slide. So that is the dual rank performance and the chip kill, so the high reliability. But when I move to 16 gigabit based chips, I don't need as many chips anymore in order to get to the same capacity point. So I really only need, in this case, 18 chips to actually create a 32 gigabyte module. And that means that there's two options. One is I still want the dual rank configuration, so I optimize for performance. A dual rank performance typically has about 5 to 10% higher performance than single rank. And that is really the configuration that you see here on the top. But if I have a dual rank configuration, I don't have enough chips in this case anymore to also have that chip kill. So in this case, I have optimized my configuration for the best performance. On the bottom side, if I want to optimize for reliability, it means I need that extra chip for that chip kill feature. And in that case, I don't have enough chips to do that for a dual rank performance, so I can only go to a single rank performance. So what does it mean in essence when I go from an 8 gigabit an 8 gigabit chip to a 16 gigabit chip? Well, in the past, I could have both dual rank and chip kill in one module. And when I go to 16 gigabit, now I'm going to have to choose between either dual rank but not a chip kill, so optimized for performance, or single rank um, with chip kill. So I have it optimized for reliability and not for performance. If I want to have a module that continues to have both dual rank and chip kill, it means I would have to go to a 64 gigabyte module because I need to have 36 chips to actually get to that configuration. And that is kind of the main impact between 8 gigabit and 16 gigabit when you look at the capabilities of the module itself. So besides the paying attention to the CPU, if you have an Intel CPU, make sure you understand whether that CPU supports 8 or 16 gigabit chips technology. And then in addition, do you need that dual rank and are you willing to give up that chip kill? Yes or no? That really determines if you're going to go to a 16 gigabit based module or not. The good news is that today there are still a lot of modules out there that are based upon 8 gigabits, but in the future, that will slowly transition to 16 gigabit, as I showed you in this graph over here. But at the same time, most likely the sweet spot will start to then move on to 64 gigabytes modules, and in that case we will have enough chips again to have both that dual rank and that chip kill feature. Okay, so that is, I highlighted what it means for a 32 gigabyte module. On this slide, I also showed you what it means for the other capacity points when you move from 8 to 16 gigabits. And so, you have to choose one versus the other. If you want both, the only way you can do that is by going to a 64 gigabyte module. You'll get a copy of this presentation so you can have this as a reference point in the future when you're trying to figure out what is the best configuration that you are going to need. Do you need optimal performance? Do you need optimal reliability? Or do you need both? We also have actually some YouTube videos that if you want to understand a little bit more and really get to the really understanding DRAM technology, we have 4 different YouTube videos on a variety of topics that you can have a look at, and they're really good training videos if you want to do a bit of a deeper dive. Highly recommend that you use them. I've watched them many times when I started my my life in the DRAM world. All right, so I want to finish off with something that we call same server, different price. And different price, you can imagine that we mean a lower price. And really what it means is that when you buy a server, you typically buy a server that comes with the SSD and DRAM components that are being provided by the OEM, such as Dell, HP, etc. The challenge that you will see when you're buying a fully configured server is 2 ways. One, you're going to pay a much higher price because you're buying an OEM branded module, and so there is clearly a price premium associated with that. But even more important, the OEM branded products will always lag the market when it comes to technology, because the OEMs, when the new technology comes out, they will have to go through qualification cycles across all of their servers. These are typically long. Then they have to introduce that new technology across all of their brands, all of their servers, and so this usually creates a delay. So what is nice if you're basically able to buy the components directly from the vendor, such as Micron, is that there's 2 things that happen. One is you have access much faster to the latest technology, and B, you will be able to get a much more cost-effective solution because you are not paying the premium that the OEMs are charging. And so I give you here one example of a very standard configuration. We compared here a Dell PowerEdge R540 with an Intel CPU, basic, DRAM and hard disk drive, and then we said, let's populate that server with 12 RDIMMs, 16 gigabyte, and 12 SATA SSDs. So, really run-of-the-mill server, nothing special. We looked at the price tag if you buy that directly from the OEM versus if you buy that minimal configuration from the OEM and then you buy the actual products, aftermarket via a distribution partner. And so you can see in this particular case, you pay substantially less for, in essence, the same server, because in many cases the DRAM or the SSDs that are inside are the exact same that you would get from from a company like Micron. Now, a lot of the concerns that, or feedback that I get from customers is when they say, but yeah, if I do that, doesn't it void the warranty on my server? And the answer is no. The server manufacturers will continue to provide warranty on the server. They will just not provide warranty on the components that are bought separately. That warranty will come from Micron. And so if there is a problem with your component, you basically can RMA that component. We will obviously also provide you with FAE support if that is needed, but the actual server itself will not have a voided warranty when you're going to buy components separately. In fact, that is against the law in the United States even, and so this is not something that server vendors are dabbling their toes into. You will be able to buy these products separately and get the warranty from Micron. And so the other thing that you may want to, you want to be sure about, because figuring out what is the exact product that you need, what is the exact part number may not be trivial. So we have a product selector on a website called orderingmemory.com, where basically you can choose, what server you're using, what what CPU, what is the configuration, what is the capacity point that you need, and then it will basically spit out a variety of part numbers that would be a good fit for your particular need. So highly recommend that you use this website, orderingmemory.com, or of course work with Boston as your partner. They have the knowledge and capability as well to recommend you exactly what it is that you need to stick into your server depending on your requirements. And that is the end of my talk. I give it back to Andreas for some Q&A.
So thank you very much, Esther, for the presentation, for the information, especially about the shortage, which is everywhere here, and also about the facts regarding the warranty. And I also want to make sure if you are buying, of course, a Boston server, you also will get the full warranty and the full services about the service level that you are buying from Boston. So there should be no problem. Now we want to have a look at the questions, if there are any. Just a second. So there is there's one question coming in. Esther, I will read it. Will Micron see a bigger demand shortage on enterprise SSDs regarding the new GIA cryptocurrency?
So that's a great question. We are very closely monitoring that. So far, we have not seen an increase on that, but next week, Monday, I believe this is going to go live in China. So we are very closely monitoring it. I do expect to see an uptick, but it is it is still a wait and see game at this particular time.
Okay, good. Is there anything else? Another question. Yes. What's the biggest advantage for a customer to upgrade their servers with Micron products versus OEM pre-configured servers? That's what we talked at least about it. So.
Yeah, so I think actually I have a case study that maybe it's a good thing to share. So we have a partner that we work with in the UK that did exactly that. Upgrade the servers with Micron parts instead of selling pre-configured servers. The challenge that this particular customer had. So they worked with a value-added reseller who was Micron's partner, and the end customer was a large financial institution. They were doing investment services for their customers. And they had about 1,500 Cisco servers across 3 EMEA locations. And they wanted to upgrade their servers with more memory. And when they asked Cisco, what the cost was associated was with the upgrade, they received a price of about $1,000 per module. Initially, that really was the only option that they had because Cisco didn't allow for any other modules to be deployed in that. We actually have worked very closely with Cisco to get our parts on the approved list for Cisco. And as soon as that happened, the customer then was able to buy the components separately from Micron and actually, only spend $270 per module for the exact same module versus if they had bought, these upgrade modules via Cisco. And so it really was a win-win for both the customer and the partner, the value-added reseller, because both of these parties actually benefited. One was, it created clearly, a cost benefit for the end customer, and they were able to make sure that they got products that weren't going to invalidate their server, and they didn't have anything to worry about that. At the same time, the partner that was servicing this customer was able to increase their margins because the cost savings to the customer was already so big that the partner actually could add some margins. And then because the customer had so much extra budget left, the partner actually was able to provide new services related to on-site integration and maintenance that otherwise they wouldn't have been able to provide. So it actually really created a great use case for both sides, better relationships, more cost savings, better margins. And so it really was a very, very nice story overall. And so I think that the biggest concern that this customer had was this invalidation of the server warranty, and we absolutely can guarantee that is not the case, that this particular part was just the same as the Cisco branded module. It just had a different sticker on it. Does that answer your question, Andreas, or the answer of the audience?
Yes, I would say yes.
Okay.
I again want to mention this is a very good example where you also can see how you can save money if you, for example, using the Boston servers versus an OEM. So you can see there's a price difference. You will get the full warranty. You will get the full support levels, what you would like to have, or what your needs are. So this is a great opportunity for all of us in this chain. And yeah, thank you very much, Esther, for showing us this example.
With pleasure.
What else do I have before we go to the price draw again? I want to inform you about some news about the next events that we are planning. It's the next webinar on the 21st of May with DataCore together. So we want to show our Boston all-in solutions where we show you our new appliances with software-defined storage solutions. The one is for or in combination with Sound Symphony, a block storage virtualization solution, and on the other hand, which is brand new, it's the new Swarm solution, because DataCore bought Caringo, and this is a very interesting object storage solution for cloud applications, for example, and we also certified already the appliances for it, and we want to introduce it to you in this webinar. On the other hand, Esther, we will have a meeting again, the 28th of May, where we also want to talk about the topic optimizing your IT budgets. In this case, we will focusing on SSDs. Maybe you can give us a short intro about the webinar, and I hope that, of course, you also will attend at it again.
Sure. Yeah, so what I want to really talk about there is we get a lot of questions from customers, NVMe, SATA, what is the best way? Which NVMe do I need to choose? What are the features? What is this, namespaces? Why do I need it? And so I want to dig a little bit more into the technology, and some of the newer form factors that are going to, come out in the market. Why do you choose one versus the other? What is U.3 versus U.2? So lots of, kind of educational and technical discussion on, the newer NVMe features and why they're beneficial for, your future workloads.
Well, I think that's a very interesting information and very useful, especially for the new generations of servers and technologies there. So yeah, I'm very happy to present with you together this webinar. And yeah, that's all from my side. I saw there are no further questions. So I want to remind you, please do not forget to fill out the survey after the webinar. And yeah, we will do the prize draw afterwards, and we'll get in touch with the winner, so that we will get the address where we can send the 2 terabyte crucial portable SSD from Micron. So thank you very much that you make it possible from the
Good
Micron
luck.
side to to do this survey as the prize draw, and then yeah, and as I said, please do not forget to fill out the survey. And yeah, from now on, I want to say thank you very much for attending our webinar. Thank you, Esther, for your great support, for the very interesting presentation you gave to us with some insights, especially about the allocation, about the situation. I know that's this hurts for all of us, but
Yes, it does. It does. Trust me, I wish it was different,
yeah,
but
we
it's
also
not.
wish
But
that.
yeah.
Maybe I want to mention, therefore, if you have or if you are working on projects where you see that the closing is coming closer, please work with our sales very close together on a forecasting level, so that we also can make sure that we have that we get the products right in, and that we can yeah, deliver as fast as possible. It's not so easy at the moment like it was in the last years, so it's a very difficult situation. So please work very close together with your sales representative from Boston, and we will make sure that we can produce and ship as soon as possible, like the situation will it make possible. So yeah, from my side, thank you very much. Thank you for attending the webinar. I wish you now a good and nice sunny rest of the Friday, a very nice weekend, and of course stay healthy. And thank you, your Boston team, and take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Esther.